What is up, awesome ones? This is Awesome here, and welcome back to another episode of Room Number 9. This episode is probably going to be short as well, but if you're on Patreon, you guys got a good 20-minute video, about like a 20-minute video waiting for you, as the starting of this episode started on Patreon. And in case you guys don't know already, the reason that is because, again, there's stretching involved. And as you can tell, it is very silent. The game is silent, and it makes sense because, as I was mentioning to the people on Patreon, we're at the point, especially after this scene, things are starting to change between both of them and how they're reacting. Just to give you guys ideas, and if you get, in case you guys can't get on Patreon, that's completely okay. I'll just give you guys like a quick recap or like the noticeable things. So yeah, they went through the process, they finished it correctly. I think we're about to find out, but the thing is, like, Seiji, like, he's kind of becoming more obedient in a way, and I'm not sure if he's losing himself, because again, we can't see from his point of view. But for Daichi, on the other hand, we could tell he's already feeling conflicted. He had a moment during the process where he was trying to think of something to, you know, arouse him, if you will. And the thing that came to mind, like, you know, he was trying to think of things like ex-girlfriends and the one time where him and another lady had like a, you know, one night stand type of thing, right? But then none of those helped. And he just thought the day before where him and Seiji, you know, did that task. And he was like, yeah, Seiji looked really hot. And then, like, he held himself back. He's like, no, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? But then he kept talking about and like kind of repeating himself how Seiji looks so vulnerable and like defenseless, and it's so different. And he gets a, you know, he likes that type of thing, it seems like, but at the same time he knows it's wrong, and he's starting to feel guilt. It does remind me a lot of Euphoria. Of course, I'm talking about the anime slash, you know, H anime, if you know what I mean. It does remind me in that same way, because that's how the main character felt in that too. I feel like it's going to be on like on that same type of course when it comes to Daichi, because even for that character, same thing. Like, you know, it's like the shitty situation. At first, he's like guilty as hell about it, but then, like, once he, you know, he knows he has to go through it, and it's the same with Daichi in this. He knows he has to go through it, and, you know, you start getting these thoughts in your head, and then all of a sudden it's just like he gets pretty pumped up about it, if you will, and he loses himself, and he becomes like kind of like power hungry. And I say power hungry, but he has like kind of like he starts developing a god complex in a way, like, because he has full control. And I feel like Daichi's going to start feeling that way as we go on. And I don't know how this is going to end. I'm curious to see how the happy ending is going to be, if there is one, or a good ending, because I don't see how this is going to turn out good for either of them, honestly. And we did have two choices in that. I'm not sure if neither of them mattered, but I'm assuming the last choice might have mattered, because we might have went too far. But I won't say that again. That'll be up for you guys on Patreon. Anyways, we don't have much time on this video because yeah, a lot of it was on Patreon. But anyways, without further ado, let's go and continue on some more Rune number 9. Guilt and arousal were living together in my heart. I never wanted to know what this felt like. I wanted to escape, so I turned my back to Seiji and sat down on the bed. He cursed in his breath and then started tossing the implements onto the tray one by one. Ka-chink, thunk, plunk. I turned to look back at him. He was wiping his face with the towel and spitting up the remaining milk in his mouth. Then he tossed the towel into the tray too. He seemed extremely upset, but who could blame him? I didn't know what to say. What are you even supposed to do after something like that? It was the only thing I could come up with. He didn't answer. He probably wouldn't even look at me. Doing what I couldn't even manage. I heard him go to the exchange chamber and then into the bathroom, closing the door. I just sighed and flopped back on the bed. I sank into the mattress as the tension slowly left my body. I hate this. Why is this happening? What have we done? We're best friends. Why are they making us do this? Tears welled up in my eyes and spilled out over my face. Oh man, I'm actually kind of upset because I feel like I rarely say this, but there was a moment there. I don't know about you guys. I felt that though, especially after that. That was because that was chaotic. Like literally, that task was really chaotic. Because like a lot, it was going really fast, you know, and at the same time, like the music. By the way, the music in this is pretty damn good. I think, as it really felt tense. Like that whole scene felt tense and, you know, chaotic. Because you know, it's like that when you're doing stretching that intense and forceful at the same time. Like I feel like the music really complements it well because it's like blood rushing to your head. Like I'm sure you have those moments where you feel flush, blood's running to your head, and you just can't think, and you're just kind of like, well, you're all over the place, you know. And they did that scene so well. And yeah, anyways, this all started because like I felt like they could have like went more into that because that was heartbreaking. Like because we felt that, like Daichi felt that in the, you know, during the task, and obviously in the aftermath he felt guilty as hell, and it's sad to see Seiji so pissed. But I wish they like extended that scene a bit more. That's all I wanted because I felt that hurt. That was hurtful. And it's no one's fault. It's just like, it's just hurtful. It sucks. Anyways, I started to lose track of the days. The delicious breakfast was starting to lose its allure. We ate in silence, got dressed, and immediately looked at our tasks for the day. I had no real expectations. At most, I vaguely figured it was going to be something awful again. I didn't have any hopes to begin with, but somehow they managed to betray whatever vague expectations I did have. It actually almost made me feel like things might be looking slightly up. Subject A must extract milk from subject B's without stimulating subject B's. Without stimulating? So it's the same thing, but we have to make sure. Oh no. Okay, so one thing that happened, because it actually, this is for context too, since unless you guys are on Patreon, you know what happened. But one thing that happened during that task was that, let's just say, Seiji, during the process, like near the end, he had like a half. It was you know, it lifted a bit, if you know what I mean. It grew a tiny bit, you know. The mushroom grew a tiny bit. It digivolved into like the champion form, but it didn't go into like, it didn't like mega digivolve or anything, you know. If that makes any sense. But it did digivolve one level up, if that makes any sense. But that's the best way I could put it, honestly. But now, because of that, now they really want to make sure he doesn't digivolve at all. He has to stay in like the lower level. I forgot what it's called, honestly, but in Digimon terms. But that sucks. That means we're gonna have to be painful. Oh no, I feel like we're gonna fail that. I don't know how long this game is, but I feel like this is a chance that we're gonna fail this task because we don't know his kinks, if you will. I mean, sure, we don't know Seiji's kinks. The fact that he digivolved one level, if you know what I mean, says everything. That he might have had some stimulation from it, and we have to figure out what turns him off completely, and that's kind of nerve-wracking, because how can you ask that after doing that, you know? And it's the same thing again. But anyways, I think we're gonna have to go with option 2. I mean, if I was Daichi, I would force Seiji, like, no, we're doing option 2. We are 1000, because if we do this again, I think Seiji's gonna lose himself, and same with Daichi too. But I was prepared for it, but I was still annoyed. Seiji didn't really react, like he'd already gotten used to it. But like, after the task of the day before, it almost felt like a drop in difficulty. It was really anticlimactic in a way. Well, okay, okay. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I read this right. Subject B without. Okay, I mean, I don't think that's actually difficult. Because if he does it himself, then that's okay, if that makes any sense. But subject A, in this case, if Daichi does it, then, you know, that's bad. But if, you know, Seiji himself doesn't, then that's okay. I don't know. We probably have to look at more in depth in that. But it was really anticlimactic in a way. Objectively speaking, both tasks are pretty awful. But in a kind of unsettling way, I was getting used to it. Seiji didn't even shrug or sigh. He just put the tablet down. He said casually as ever and picked up his tablet off the charger. He looked at me. He had such a serious look on his face, but I wasn't about to back down this time or try to cover it up with laughter. When I returned the serious look, Seiji set his tablet down and plopped down to one of the chairs. He leaned forward where he sat, suggesting he would hear me out. He listened patiently, so I just kept talking. This is pretty much how things always went between us. I'd explain the situation, Seiji would quietly listen, and then give me a precise strategy for dealing with it. Normally Seiji would reply, but the way they want to hurt me is the least damaging overall, and I just go along with it. I just assumed that it was the best solution and that Seiji was right. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't let Seiji shoulder all the pain. He made it sound so normal and a matter of fact. He might as well have been telling me to eat my vegetables. My chest ached. I couldn't believe how considerate he was being. Even after all the awful shit we went through yesterday, he understood how much of it pained me too. Oh, but Seiji, that's the illusion, buddy. Like, I can live with a visible scar, but a mental scar? Like, because both last forever, but man, I would rather have a physical scar because who cares at the end of the day? You know, actually some scars are good, but I mean, yeah, in this case they're not. But it's also, it could be a better reminder, but a mental scar, in my opinion, would just be more damaging. And I think, I'm not sure if any of you agree with that, but let me know in the comment box down below. Like, would a physical scar, like, would a physical scar be worse than a mental scar? Or which one's worse, do you think? Because obviously they're probably both bad in their own right, but like, I don't know. The thing is, if it was a physical scar, I don't know. I'm trying to like, it's like comparing bad apple to bad apple, you know? But I feel like with the physical scar, it's like a reminder of like what we went through together, but you can see it as like a good thing in a way, kind of like we went through this together, buddy, and you know, we could power through anything if we'd been through this. Or a mental scar, aka doing the stuff we did before in a forcible way, obviously. Like, that's gonna, like, I feel like you're never gonna look at the person, you know, you're in this case his best friend the same way ever again, amongst other things, you know. But I don't know, that's what I think. I think I'd rather have a physical scars again compared to what Seiji is saying. I think it's an illusion what he's thinking, but yeah. But what about the mental scars? I'm glad we have the same thoughts. The body can adapt to all sorts of physical changes after all, so by that same logic, why not let me be hurt? But it was still Seiji's turn to talk, so I just balled my hands into fists and listened. Seiji met my gaze, narrowing his eyes. I couldn't believe he could say that after everything he'd suffered already. How is he even real? Oh. I couldn't argue with that. Seiji was probably right. He was always right. Well, at least more right than me. I couldn't start complaining and make him worry about me even more. So that was that. We just had to do it. It was probably for the best. And so, night came once again. This damn music, man. It's so conflicting, but the way I asked the question was casual that I might as well have been pursuing the menu at one of our usual dinner haunts. Despite that, my mind was completely jumble of thoughts, like about existential futility and whatnot, and the sort of stuff you could get used to. Helplessness. That's what that face was. Seiji stared at me through his eyelashes, his brow firmly knit. Even if we were used to it, it didn't make the feeling of frustration any better. And it was no surprise that we both felt the same way. I mean, like, I really didn't want to do it either. The more tasks we cleared, the more they would escalate. We'd sleep, wake up, eat, struggle with the choices presented us, kill time, and then it'd be night again, over and over. And it kept getting worse bit by bit, as if we weren't tumbling down a spiral deeper every day. Seiji had thoroughly prepared with a lengthy shower. I went to retrieve the variety of devices from the exchange here, but it seemed a little excessive. There was a chest waiting for me, crammed full of wide varieties of implements. The message seemed to be to use whatever catches your fancy. It was the first thing I saw, so I grabbed it and set it on the desk by the wall. I stood there waiting for Seiji's answer. His tone was a lot softer this time. He was whining, like in a normal casual chat. Whining. If nothing else, it wasn't hard to imagine that it wasn't pleasant. I mean, I wasn't exactly having a great time during that, you know, face stretching task either. If someone had to play with you know, my booty, I don't know. I'd rather it be a nice older girl, but even then, I wouldn't really want to do it. He let out a deep sigh. It made me wonder if he had any cigarettes left. Smoking probably would have been better than sighing like that. I guess it might have stunk up the room, but that never really bothered me. I figured I could buy him some more points if he was out. It was the least I could do. I mean, like, you know, they wanted me to make him, you know, Iku without touching his sausage after all. I didn't explicitly spell out, can you even Iku without touching your own, you know, sausage? But thankfully Seiji answered anyway. The air hung heavy between us. Was he thinking about what to do? Was he dejected? I couldn't tell. I sat down on the bed. What do I say? I felt like I had to say something. Wait, what? How do you know that, Daichi? What the fuck was I saying? I couldn't stand the tension. I just wanted to lighten the mood a little. I just kept babbling, sensing how bad the situation really was. I scrambled to remember. She was a sub chick who worked part-time at an SMM bar, and she told me it feels amazing to get your, you know, a booty, you know, getting your booty, or just putting your fingers in the bowling ball, if you will, when you're getting a whiff. I don't know. When you're, you know, blowing the balloon up in this case, but while she gestured with her finger. Seiji didn't say a word and pressed his index finger against my lips. Oh, right. He wants to concentrate. I wasn't joking, though. Like ravishing a girl. Not that I'd ever done anything like that. I didn't want to, you know, grape anyone. I never even roleplay that kind of scenario. But I didn't have to Iku, and there were restraints in the box too, along with the stuff we already used a number of times. There are some other things in there I had no idea what you'd even do with, but I could figure out how to use them if I looked at the instructions that came with the task. If I relied on that, I'm sure we could manage somehow. I didn't have to worry too much since they're all sterile too. No. He spoke in a surprisingly serious tone. That was one of the things I loved about him. A traditional looking paper packet of medicine was provided alongside the implements, the kind you see cold remedies provided in. According to the instructions, it could be taken orally, mixed in with lube, or even put directly on the, you know, the thunder from down under. If I just couldn't touch his sausage, and sprinkling some of that on it would still be within the rules. It even claimed to have no physical side effects. It didn't say anything either way about the psychological ones. True. Actually, you know, the thing that I've been Seiji's, you know, bowling ball repeatedly now, you know, the shake weight. Although I feel like if we had that, it would have dropped the difficulty even more. I guess they thought it would be no fun if we had that. Gross. Did he mean it wasn't going to work without that shake weight, or that he couldn't do it with me? That's what you were worrying about? Well, I'm assuming we're gonna go into, you know, the stretching parts. I would go I would go to the save menu, but I have a feeling, well, no, because I know the last save point I made and it's gonna show something. But anyways, I did hope you enjoyed this episode of Rune number 9. Again, it might have been shorter, but sorry about that. A lot of it is on Patreon. It's, I think I evened it out. It should be like 20 minutes on Patreon, 20 minutes on here. But if you did enjoy this episode, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think so far of this series? Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And thank you guys for keep leaving the comments. I love reading them, as it's genuinely just awesome to see that you guys are like much more into it than I am, probably, I would hope. But you know what I mean, maybe into it in that way too. I don't know, that's everyone's different. Everyone has a different king, but it is an interesting story, an interesting situation to see how characters can change when put into like a very stressful environment. This one is, again, you can make that comparison to Euphoria, but like, for example, you can also like see that in movies like Saw, or even like, I feel like Saw's like kind of the mainstream example, but like even like something that's kind of, it could have been a better movie, but that's a whole nother thing. But like Belko Experiment, for example, that's another one. Again, Stanford Prison Experiment, that's another thing that I mentioned. But yeah, there's decent examples of this, like a decent amount of examples is what I mean, of like situations like this where it could change a person, if you will. But again, let me know what you guys think down in this down in the comment box down below. And again, if you haven't already, my Patreon link is in the description box down below. And if you haven't already, follow me on Twitch, as we are going to live stream tonight. If I'm not dead tired, I shouldn't be, but we should stream tonight. I'm not sure we're going to play yet, but we'll see. Twitch in the link down in the description box down below. And of course, I have all my social media links. You can follow me down there. And outside of that, thank you guys for watching. And we're going to start some demos, like I said, soon enough. Soon enough. There's one demo that I really can't wait to play because it's been extended. And I think it was announced like a couple weeks ago. So I'm excited to jump into that because it's like one of the most hyped games for me personally. And I cannot wait to play it. I'm so excited for it. I seriously can't wait. And I can't wait to play the extended demo and show it off to you guys. But anyways, that is it for Rune number 9. And thank you awesomes for watching. I'll see you awesomes later, okay? Love ya. And don't forget to stay awesome. Bye.
Save する。俺も帰りてえな。